Safety. Do you spend much time working on this in your recovery work? Just for today, that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. What we resist will persist. Just for today. Good morning. Glad you are tuning in, whether you're going to tune in live this morning or later on. Either way, I so appreciate you doing that. So appreciate it. Our emotional safety. Yeah. In recovery, do we leave our emotional safety in the hands of others? Do we leave it? I don't know about you, but this is an area that, we can tend to not think much about in our recovery. We work on a lot of different areas in our recovery. So, just for today, we are going to talk about that this morning. And I hope that you will hear something, see something that will resonate with you, even if you apply it just for today. Even if you apply it just for today. That's what the slogan means. It's in the recovery rooms. Many of our recovery rooms use that slogan. Can we see something, hear something that we can apply to our just for todays? And then, we'll go from there. And we never know. It may be something that we don't want to think about doing for a lifetime. But could we apply it today? Emotional safety. It's a pretty important topic. In my line of work, I work for a place that we work with folks in recovery of all sorts. And most of the time, self love is something that we're struggling with, right? Um, Considering ourselves first, um, living a life that we are making sure boundaries are there and we're safe. So, this emotional safety, what is that about this morning? Let me know you're out there. Let me know what you think about this. You guys add so much each just for today, and I do appreciate that. Do you leave your emotional safety in the hands of others? Well, my experience has been most of my life I have. I really have. And finding self love, true self love, my authentic self has been something that's been a little difficult for me. Experiencing relationships while we're in recovery and wellness, while we're living our best life, it is amazing. You know what it's like when you're not well. Good morning, Kim. Glad to see you are on. Let me know you're out there. We know what it's like to be in toxic relationships. We know what it's like to have chaos going on in our lives. Good morning, Stephanie. Happy Wednesday to you. Experiencing relationships while in recovery is amazing. It's different. It really is. It's really different. Here's the news alert though. In relationships, we're not immune to conflict. We're really not. There's no magical thing that encompasses us because dun 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 dun, we're in recovery. Good morning, Darlene. It just doesn't happen that way. Have we discovered new ways to approach conflict? Now that we know better, we've heard this, we need to strive to do better, right? Emotional safety. Let's be honest. Do you have a plan around it? Do you? Um, it's really important that we think, even if it's just for today, about that emotional safety. I learned early on in my recovery that I'd spent much time showing people how to treat me, not having boundaries, being involved in very toxic relationships, abusive relationships, relationships within me being the caretaker or the person that's going to save the day, right? I'm on the family side of addiction with several family members, and for the last 15 years, I've been involved with this. And only the last 6 years or so, I have been in recovery around that, the codependency, right? And I taught those folks how to treat me. They knew exactly how to manipulate me at all points, right? And I was that enabler. Just for today, can we consider, now that we're in recovery, we know better. We're learning. So let's apply that this morning. Let me know what you think about this emotional safety. Do you have a plan? Do you even think about your emotional safety and how it affects you? So now that we're building our lives differently, our worldview is through the lens of hope. Yeah, we can truly have an amazing life when we look through those lenses. There's other possibilities now. We can literally think about, our dreams, what we aspire to do, what makes us happy. We feel like we deserve, right? Outside of recovery, our emotional safety was the least of our worries, right? We never thought about that. We felt shamed and blamed, right? We felt like we deserve all the abuse and toxic stuff that comes our way. It was our fault. Just for today, I hope that you'll consider a plan after we get through talking today about your emotional safety. There's something about relationships. Um, Even when we're working out, walking through, digging in deep in our recovery, conflict can still come quickly, creating that distance and heartache. We say or do things later that we regret and we don't know how to repair. Repairing relationships, taking ownership, right, is something that is new learning for us. Those of us that have been struggling in our wellness for many years, we missed that class. We really did. I missed that class about boundaries and how to protect my emotions, how to express my emotions in a way that I can be heard. Yeah, I missed that class. I didn't sign up for that one. Didn't even know it existed. We can go back to our old ways if we're not careful of handling conflict. Yeah, butting heads, extreme tension in your home, work, even in the recovery rooms where recovery is loud and clear. We're getting up in our rooms and we are digging in deep and we're telling snippets of our story to inspire hope. And even in those rooms, there can be conflict. All right. Somebody has a different need than you. Somebody experiences recovery different from what you believe, right? And all of a sudden, our emotional safety feels threatened and we don't know how to respond. And yes, there's even tension in a church. I don't know about you, but I've witnessed and been a part of some of the most tenseful, can't think of a better word, but hateful interactions in a church setting. We can have that in our community too, right? Butting heads, digging in. It's my way or no way, or just for today. Can we try pulling out our superpower this morning? You know what that is? It's being able to share your heart, your authentic heart, your feelings. After all, it's not is that not how many of our relationships started? Whether it was a dear trusted friend, in our community or in our recovery rooms or even at work, or that special someone. Isn't that how it started? We start connecting around our heart, our passions. We share our hearts, our desires and dreams. Then that moment of connection happens. We share the same core values. It's like, oh my gosh, this is my girl right here. We are going to be like the best friends ever, right? Or yeah, this coworker, they share the same passion around recovery and are trying to dig in the same way. Or we meet that special person, right, that makes our heart, flip over and we get this tingly feeling when they walk up. So many of those relationships start because we shared, connected, right? That special someone, fireworks, whatever that is. But there was some heart shared, in most of these deep relationships that we start. Conflict is unavoidable in our important relationships. It's going to happen, right? So just for today, can we consider our emotional safety? Do you have a plan? Let me know how you feel about it. Let's see who's on this morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Darlene and Jeffrey. Glad to see you guys are on. Good morning, Chris. Badass is here in the house. Love you too, Chris. Love you too. Yeah. What we resist will persist. So if we're resisting taking care of our emotional safety, I promise you, I know it is for me. That's what continues to pop up in my face. It will persist on and on, right? When, we long to have those connections. We were built, designed to connect with each other. Some people just have a different way to connect. Some people have a deeper desire to connect, but we were designed that way. But when that longing to connect is frustrated, we may experience a threat to our emotional safety. Have you ever heard that phrase, fight, flight, or freeze? Well, when your emotional safety is threatened, right, it can be very real or even imagined, right? We can kind of go back in our trauma brain, so to speak, and re experience something, you know. We're activated, and we start feeling these threats. When we're activated, I don't know about you, but some people shut down. I don't know. Let me know what you do, right? Some of us shut down, withdraw as a way to protect our hearts, right? So we shut down. We get out of there, or we just freeze. Others go on the offense. We're ready to fight. Blame, shame, judging, right? And it just kicks in that emotional deep feeling, that overwhelming emotion that we can have where we actually feel it physically in our body, our blood pressure. You know how you feel, your heart starts racing. You may show physical signs that you're distressed, or you're feeling unsafe in your emotions, right? Others go in different directions. I know for me, it's I tend to kind of have different responses based on where I am in the connection, um, you know, and so and it can kind of change, it can change, right? Um, as the saying goes, what we resist will persist. So I don't know about you, just for today, do you have a plan around your emotional safety? Could you consider this morning, are you a fighter? Are you a person that just shuts down, or do you run, right? Do you just give up, right? Most of the time, those three in a conflict in a relationship is very important to us. It doesn't serve us very well. We're not heard, right? Just for today. It's a very simple concept, but it's going to take work. It's going to take lots of consistent work to be able to do that. For me, sharing my feelings, sometimes I didn't have the words for my feelings, or I was didn't know how I'd be perceived if I came at it that angle. But I will tell you, um, when we share our hearts, when we're genuinely authentic with someone about what we're feeling, that is a true blue, concrete way to have a great plan around your emotional safety. Be willing, right? Be willing. All right, let's see who's on. Miss Darlene's on. Oh, my vertigo kicks in. Oh, wow. Very depressed. So, Darlene, do you mean that that's what you're feeling currently, or is that what you experience when you're in emotional distress? That your vertigo can actually kick in, that physical part of us that can respond to stress. And some of us can get things like this, or we feel sick on our stomach, or we get extreme headaches, very tired, depressed, all those things. Um, yeah, be transparent. It's hard sometimes. Gosh, it is very hard. Um, in my recovery work, I do a lot of journaling. And so, good morning, Karen. Glad to see you're on. I do a lot of recovery work, and I journal. And so, there's a lot of things that I have not been able to really find words for. And I got a bee, honeybee, flying around this morning. Um, so I will journal it. And yeah, that feels better for the moment to like get it out on paper. Um, but the problem has been, it hasn't given me the confidence that I need to sit down with that important person in my life and have a conversation, right? About how I feel. Um, so just for today, can we consider it? Let me know what you do. Let me know how you rank in this. Is this something that you work on in your recovery? Um, There's so many legs to recovery, right? And all of us are in different places. Good morning, Aaron Wells. Just for today, glad to see you're on. We are in so many different places that we're working on. It's hard to work on all our dimensions of wellness at one time. In fact, it's impossible. There's 8 dimensions of wellness according to the SAMHSA wheel, right? And um, so picking, a few of those at a time is about all we can handle. However, emotional safety is something that probably, for me, I don't know about you, needs to be at the top of the list, because those connections, those relationships, if they're not rock solid, if you feel those to be threatened and very tenseful, it can really trip you up. In recovery, this is your responsibility. It's not my responsibility for you. Mine is for me, right? I'm just scratching the surface this morning about this emotional um, atmosphere that we sometimes don't think about, right, for ourselves. We want to do it. We want others to do that with us. I know that I want people to really share with me how they feel about things rather than come at me or not speak to me, right? But do I reciprocate that? Not so much sometimes. This is an area that I'm working on. So those of you who come on and participate with me, you know that I bring to you what I'm working on. And so emotional safety is a real big deal for me right now in different areas and different connections and relationships in my life. Yeah. Darling says it takes work. It's a process, not an event for me. Absolutely. I cut people off to protect my emotional feelings. Yeah. Shutting down, not being able to, express it, or we express it and it's not received. And we have to make a decision that those folks maybe aren't in our immediate inner circle, right? Yep. Um, Stephanie says, historically, as a kid, I was shut all the way down. I found power in silence because it angered um, my verbal, emotional, and physical abuser, my father. Oh, wow. Yeah. As kids, we learn early on how to survive or how to manipulate or how to uh, get back when we're little, right? And we can't, our rising up with our fists and our voices aren't loud enough or big enough to um, be heard. So we'll figure that out. And when we're unwell, we also figure that out too. Yeah, we figure out how to survive. And our symptoms of what we're going through are just adaptations, right? To get us through. But in recovery, we start digging in and start figuring out those areas that we need to change, right? You know what those areas are in your emotional wellness that you still struggle with. I challenge you this morning to think about, is it serving you well? Do you feel emotionally safe in your relationships? Could be work relationships, it could be intimate, it can be with your children, your parents, friends, community. We have so many subsets, right? We got the big ones, and then they kind of subset off, and then it even gets subsetted off even more. I mean, when we layer our friendships, if we would sit down and just draw it out, we'd be like, wow, yeah. A lot of us feel like we don't have a lot of friendships, right? But you really do. You have connections. Some of these connections, may just be at work or for a season in your life. And then some of these connections are really a lifetime connection that you desire in your heart of hearts. You really want this connection to be there forever, right? So it's time that we dust off some things and talk about it a little bit. Today, I'm going to put up in the chats, we're going to continue this conversation on a Zoom at 12:30 today. I'm going to put that in the chats to, I tried to reach out to as many of you as I could reach out to um, privately to see if you wanted to get together on a Zoom room, right? Um, this Facebook Live thing and all that's great. And I get to see your comments and your little profile pictures, but there's nothing like that connection to be together in a room. We might can't physically be together in a room because some of you live in Australia, some of you live in Florida, some of you live in Raleigh, some of you live in South Carolina. And some of you live in Charlotte, but you are just not in a place to come down to where we are, right? We might as well embrace the Zoom room, right? So I'm going to put up in the chat. So those of you who didn't get an invite from me, or you haven't responded to my message, um, please feel free to reach out, and I will connect you. It's going to be 12:30 today. A lot of you have already expressed that you're going to be there. It's going to be a fun time together. I get to see all your faces, and you get to see me, and we can share with each other and support each other. So, and we're going to continue this topic at 12:30 today, and we're going to dig in. It's called Next Level Recovery. If you are in a space that you're like, yeah, I need to dig into some stuff, I've been kind of just surfacing it. I've been just on top of the water, which is great. As long as you're in recovery, that's great, you know. But after a while, it's time to dig in because we can do better. We always can do better in all our dimensions of wellness. And this emotional safety is a big one. Is a big one. And we're going to have some conversations about that today. And I cannot wait to see you live and hear your voices and hear your heart. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And you guys let me know what if there's anything that um, I can do to, to help you out. So I put that up there today, that information that you can see. That is actually the link, as well as the password. A passcode is connected to this, so we're going to meet. We're going to come together in a Zoom room. um, we hope to expand it to others who maybe aren't coming to just for today, but they hear about it, or you invite them, whatever. It's just a way for us champions to get together and dig in together, um, and come up with our group. And we're going to meet today. We're going to meet the second and the fourth Wednesdays of this month. This is a test pilot to see if it feels good, if it's helpful, to figure out the logistics of it, right? To embrace this virtual world that we're in. So come join us today at 12:30 if you can. The information's out there in the chat. And if you have any trouble, just reach out. Give us a call or reach out to me in Messenger, and I will personally make sure you get the information to your email address for sure. For sure. Also, if you're out there this morning and you know you're coming at 12:30, let me know that. Inspire others to do that. So I've got, about 15 folks that are excited and say they're going to be there today. So we'll see. But let's have a great first showing for our Zoom room. Let's support each other, because that's what we do. And this is another way to connect. Another way to connect. Honoring our feelings just as they are is the beginning of self-love. When I read that in the material that I found, I had to sit with that a minute. Yeah. Honoring our feelings. Do you honor your feelings? Are you ashamed of your feelings? Right? But that is the beginning of self-love. To know that if I'm hurt, that the person may have not meant to hurt me. However, I still feel hurt. If I feel whatever my feelings are, they are authentic to me. And embracing them, I may not know exactly where they came from, right? I may not. But that doesn't matter. I need to still embrace that this is what my true authentic self is experiencing in this moment, right? And that's the beginning of self-love. Now, as we embrace our feelings, we're then supposed to share our feelings and needs in a tender place rather than combative, right? When we don't honor our feelings and we find ourselves in a conflict and our fight, flight, or freeze takes over, it doesn't serve us. We literally walk away from that conflict with our needs not met. Maybe even made the matter worse, right? We said things or did things that did not really express what we were feeling. The person didn't hear us because we came at them. We came at them like with closed fists. We're ready to duke it out, right? Yeah. If this is an important relationship to you, you want to be heard. So just for today, can you consider embracing those emotional feelings that you have? Doing that self-love, honoring your feelings, right? whether you understand them or not, being able to express them. It's difficult to continue arguing when the other person or yourself is not inclined to fight back, right? As we become more practiced in sharing our hearts rather than butting heads, we create a space of connection and trust. When I saw the word butting heads, boy, experiences flooded my mind. It really did. It flooded my mind, and it was quite comical. But I do want to create more space around connection and trust, no matter what the connection is. That's next level recovery. When our passion is not just around sharing the good news of recovery and sharing our stories, but that we want to have authentic connections with people, that we are literally, we got a plan around it. We're working on it. We're trying to discover our words, right? Yep. Sharing from our hearts can feel vulnerable as we expose something tender inside of us. Yeah, vulnerability. We talk about that. We hear about it. Brene Brown talks about it. We all, those of us in the recovery rooms, we talk about that a lot, about that vulnerability, right? And that when we're vulnerable and we express ourselves when we're feeling that vulnerability, that is a true sign of bravery, you know. And in the midst of a conflict, when we're willing to say, hey, you know what? I hear you. But I need to let you know right now, I feel hurt. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. That's kind of where I want to talk about this morning because you're important to me. And how you just came at me, what you just said, or how you responded to me was hurtful. It was hurtful. And I don't want that in our relationship, right? But no, we stand up on the couch and we're ready to just go all in and start shouting to the rooftops our rights. And you're not going to treat me this way and this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, it's an all out fight, battle, and our connection is broken. And we can go days and weeks and sometimes years before we can, or never, repair it, right? Because we could not say, that just hurt me, or that frustrates me, or I'm very confused about why you said that, right? So being able to kind of get down to the root of what it is that you are inside emotionally experiencing can really work. So I thought back a minute about when I was able to do that, and it's not all the time, but what I was received with was empathy, right? And I thought about when people tell me how they feel, I respond the same way with empathy, and I want to connect. So just for today, can we dig in to our emotional safety? Do you know your feelings? Do you honor your feelings? Do the work around that, guys. Apply it to your connections. Apply it to your relationships, your conflicts. Be able to say how you're feeling. Be able to be open about that in a very judgmental way, right? That can be very difficult. But the more we practice that, the more we put a plan around it in our emotional safety, we will find that those connections that really mean a lot to us can be repaired. The conflict can be less. It can be more genuine connections. There can be trust there. Because when you tell me that I hurt you, and you give me the opportunity to make that right and for us to have an honest, loving relationship, conversation, respectful, then that means a lot to me. So why wouldn't I think that about other people who I live with or who I work with or who I, dig in recovery with out in the community? Why wouldn't I think that they would reciprocate in the way that I feel like I would, right? So just for today, can we work on that? Can we? I hope that you will. I hope you've heard something, seen something today that you can apply today. Maybe you're going to come join us today at 12:30 in our Zoom room, and we're going to dig in a little bit about that. And we're also going to talk about our needs around this group and where we want to go. And I'd like for some of you to step up and think about, pray about meditate on being leaders in this group, because there'll be some times that I can't be there, right? And a true sign of a leader is when things go on when she's not there. Mhm. So yeah, that's part of my recovery, is to know that other people can keep things going, and that they have gifts and talents just like I do, and that I can trust. So guys, you come on out today, take ownership at 12:30, and be a part of this. And this is a way for a lot of us to build and connect, and to dig in deep on that next level recovery. So let's close up for today. Got to head to Charlotte, and hope to see a lot of you at 12:30. Leaning into our vulnerable moments and sharing our true, authentic feelings does not weaken us. It makes us stronger. It makes us stronger. The beautiful thing here is that it will get easier and easier the more that we do it. Everything I read and dug into in my materials preparing for this and working on my own areas continue to say that. You know, our bad habits in our relationships just didn't happen overnight. They're a lifetime of over and over again doing the same things. Well, guys, if you're tired of getting the same results in your conflicts, in your relationships, it's time to consider something different, right? So, just like learning those ways that don't serve us well, we learned them. They got in deep in our spirit because that's what we did over and over. And as Stephanie says, we learned them or we taught them, or they were taught to us, right? Exactly, Stephanie, exactly. So today, I hope you learn that there is a different way to approach it. There is something that you can do on your own that you can control, and that is your recovery work. There's not a lot we can control, but you can control the work that you dig into. I hope that something inspired you this morning, made you think a minute about your emotional safety, and maybe you don't have a plan, and maybe you just realized you needed a plan, and that you're currently having some conflict somewhere in your relationships, and how you've been approaching it ain't working. It's not healing. In fact, it might be even getting worse. If you've felt that, if you have realized that this morning, I hope you'll dig in your own work, and come join us today at 12:30, and let's see what others have to say about it, and let's dig in, and we're going to dig in deeper. It's called Next Level Recovery. All right. Well, guys, it's been wonderful. Thank you for coming on. And if you watch later, thank you for tuning in. If you feel led to, share this on your social media, spread the word, invite others to join us in our recovery Zoom room, as a way to connect and inspire hope in each other, to keep digging into the next level, right? All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful, safe day. Work on that emotional safety. And if I don't see you today at 12:30, I will see you Friday at 6:30 for Just for Today. Love you guys. Bye.